Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is all about the face base, and I think this is like the one basic step in your makeup routine. Well, it's actually like a lot of steps combined, but like the one thing in your makeup routine that can like make or break your look. So I just went full in-depth foundation tutorial, concealer, all of that, just how I like to get my base looking. And I know my eyebrows are a bit different. I'm filming so many videos at once, so that's why you'll see, I think my eyebrow tutorial is already up, so I was just demonstrating 2 different ways to do my eyebrows. And like I've already mentioned, you're gonna see this background and this frame a lot because I'm just filming back to back to make it easier for myself. But today's video is all about the base, like I said, and what the techniques that I found work best for me, and I hope they work for you as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! Okay, so the first thing when it comes to picking a foundation shade, you want to make sure that it matches your chest and neck area and not just your face, because a lot of times your face is lighter than the rest of your body, or your face is lighter than your neck and your chest. So that's how you get like the mask looking foundation, which is what you don't want. So you want something that's going to blend in with the rest of your body. So I'm actually going to bring this down a bit more, and then I'm going to swatch 2 foundations on my neck chest area. So the first one that I'm going to swatch is the Bobbi Brown Skin Longwear Weightless Foundation, and this is my favorite high-end foundation. So I'm just going to take a bit and then I'm just going to rub it in. And this is in the shade Cool Walnut 8.25, and that's a pretty good match. It's a bit more red than my liking. Actually, let's turn these lights down. I don't know if you can see this, but it's a bit more red for my liking, but I think it's still a pretty good match. And then the next shade that I'm going to swatch is, well, the next foundation actually is this CoverGirl True Blend Matte Made Foundation. What is going on today? And this is my favorite drugstore foundation. So this I'm going to swatch right here. And this is a lot more warm. It has a lot more yellow undertone, and this has a lot more red undertone. And then that's my next point. When it comes to choosing the right foundation, another thing that actually really matters, aside from the shade, is the undertone. So a lot of the times, like the shade, you may think that it's not the shade for you, but it honestly could just be the wrong undertone. So as you can see with these 2 foundations, this one is a lot more red and this one's a lot more yellow. And as you can see from my complexion, I have different undertones, but I'm more on the yellow undertone side, as you can really see here. My skin has a lot more yellow undertones, so for that reason I'm going to be going with the CoverGirl foundation in today's video. So the first thing you usually want to do before you start your actual foundation is your moisturizer. So when it comes to moisturizer, I usually use this Clean and Clear Dual Action Moisturizer, or I use the Bobbi Brown one, but then I've noticed this one makes me sweat a lot, especially around my nose. So for that reason, I'm going to use the Clean and Clear one. Oh man, my eyebrow. And then one of the keys to a very flawless base, or your base lasting a really long time, is the primer that you use. So today I'm going to be using the Benefit Professional Primer. And a primer also, it just evens out your skin texture, and it also just covers any pores, that it fills out any pores that you may have. And I just really like primer, so I concentrate it usually around my nose, because this is usually where people have the biggest pores, on my chin area and on my forehead, because I have a lot of texture there. But you can honestly use whichever primer that you want. The Benefit one is a bit more on the pricier side. That's why I always get the tiny ones. But another good primer is the Maybelline Baby Skin pore filler primer. I don't know what it's called, but the Maybelline Baby Skin is the only baby skin primer that they have. So now after my primer and my moisturizer are put on, I then go and pick my brush. So my top favorite foundation brushes are these three. This is the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush, and I honestly think like this is the best brush in the world. Whew, I love this brush so much. Also, I really like the Expert Face Brush by Real Techniques. This is the Expert 200. I don't really know what that means, but it was pink. I liked it, so I got it. And then another good brush that I use is the e.l.f. Small Stipple Brush, but then I usually use this when I'm using stick foundations. I don't really know why, but yeah. But in today's video, I'm going to be using the Real Techniques 200 Expert Face Brush. So what I like to do is just take 1, 2, 3 pumps to start off with of the CoverGirl foundation on the back of my hand. Oh, by the way, this is in the shade D70 Cappuccino. And then I dip, oh, this is so low. I dip the Real Techniques brush into the foundation, and then I kind of just like make some swatches around my face, and then I stipple. So like instead of like rubbing it in to begin with, I kind of just, I don't know how to explain what stippling is, but I do like tiny strokes basically. And I think that I really like to do this because this really minimizes the amount of brush strokes that you'll have on your face. I also forgot to mention that when picking a foundation, you also want to keep in mind what type of skin that you have. So do you have oily skin, dry skin, combination skin where it's like dry and oily in some areas? I personally have very oily skin, so I like to keep my foundations matte. But if you have dry skin, I'd suggest a dewy finish foundation like the NARS Radiant, I forgot what, but the NARS foundation is really good for dry skin. Or if you have very, very oily skin, another good option would be powder foundation. But I don't think that it gives as much coverage, so I don't really like using powder foundations. So I try and stick to liquid foundations that are matte, have a matte finish, they last long, and a lot of the times matte foundations also, I forgot what I was gonna say. But a lot of the times they're very like transfer resistant, which is another reason that I like them. So I just took 2 more pumps and I'm going to put that on my forehead. So in total, I think I've used 5 pumps. So that's how much I use for my entire face. And if you don't know where to start in terms of looking for foundations in your shade or just what to do, whichever makeup counter or makeup store that you go to, they usually, well, the ladies or the men, whoever is helping you, they should know they should know how to match your foundation shade, or how to find your foundation shade, sorry. So you should definitely get shade matched. Okay, now with the rest of the foundation, I kind of go in along my neckline, or my jawline, sorry, and then I just go in circular motions blending this foundation out just so that I don't have like a line of demarcation between my neck and my face. As you can see, this blends in really, really well. I really like this foundation. By the way, when it comes to finding your undertone, I don't really know how to explain how to find your undertone, and I know that there's something to do with your veins. Like if you have certain color veins, you can kind of figure out what undertone that you have. But for some people, it's very visible that they have yellow undertones, red undertones, they have cool or warm skin tones. But I'll try and leave a chart or a link to how you can find your undertone if you don't know how to. But I know I have very warm reddish yellow undertones. More on the yellow side, but reddish yellow. So the next thing is concealer. I know I'm always using my Fenty Beauty concealer, but now I'm going to switch it up and go back to an OG, which is my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. This is like my all-time favorite concealer in the world. I love this concealer so much, and I use the shade Amande or Amande, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, and it says this is medium dark. So with your foundation, with your concealer, you want it to be a couple shades lighter than you. Some people like it extremely light, but I think the lighter you go, the more you have to blend it out. So I kind of get one that's, I want to say, like maybe 4 shades lighter than my skin tone. And I can work with that personally. So with your concealer, to get like a nice radiant base, you want to highlight different sections of your face. So I always take my concealer and I put it under my under eyes, just to cancel out any darkness under my eyes. I also take the remainder of that product and put it on my eyelids just to have a clean base. I put it on my chin just to bring my chin out a bit more, and I put it on my upper lip because it's very dark in pictures, so I like to brighten that as well. And then I put on the bridge of my nose just to kind of bring it out some more, and then also a tiny bit on my forehead. I know I have a big forehead, but I just put it anyway. So I'm going to just take some of this concealer, and you don't have to do triangular motions, but you don't have to make it into like a triangle, but it just kind of complements your face shape. So I basically do like 4 strokes. Okay, now with this Sonia Kashuk blending sponge, by the way, you always want to use a damp blending sponge. If you try and blend out concealer, foundation, anything, and the blending sponge is wet, you will have a hard time. Like, it will take you years to blend that out. So you always want to use a moist, damp blending sponge just so it absorbs the product and it just makes the blending a lot easier. So I was actually watching Alyssa Ashley's video the other day, and I used to take my concealer out all this way, but then I realized that's actually not that smart because I'm just elongating my face, which is what I don't want. So she kind of stops at a certain point and then brings the concealer back in, so it kind of just stays in this region. Okay, once you have blended out your concealer, you kind of immediately want to go in with powder just to prevent any creasing under the eyes. And also, your eyes naturally crease, or your under eyes rather, naturally crease. So if you have crease lines under your eyes, you're not going to get rid of them with concealing. It's just going to kind of, it's just going to conceal them better. You're not going to get rid of them completely. So your crease lines are always going to be there. But a trick to kind of minimize that is to go in with powder right after you've blended out your concealer. So I'm taking my Fenty Beauty powder as usual in the shade Cashew. And then I like to look up to get right into those creases. And like I said, I do have oilier skin, so I'm a bit more heavy-handed when it comes to putting powder. Another thing that I've recently started doing, but I've also come to really like, is taking some MAC Studio Fix powder. I'm in the shade NW45, and then just taking a powder brush, like so. Whoa. Taking a powder brush and then just swirling the powder brush into the powder, and then setting the rest of my face where I didn't put any of the loose powder. So taking a compact powder and then setting the rest of the face where you didn't put a loose powder. This minimizes any transfer that could possibly happen. And then while I'm also using this compact powder, I use that to brush off. The loose powder. Using a compact powder also just cancels out any like excess brightness from your face, because you don't want, sometimes powders that leave a flashback or they're just too bright in general, so it just cancels that out. I rarely cream contour, so I'm just going to stick to my regular powder contour, and I'm taking the Black Radiance pressed powder in the shade Black Coffee. It is a hot mess again, like I told you guys before, so I'm just not going to show it because it will just spill everywhere. And I just take an angled brush like so, and then I do circular motions as well, just going back and forth from like my hairline, or from like from this corner, from like the corner where my ear and my hairline meet, all the way down to about here, to like my natural cheek contour. Or you can also just like squeeze in your cheeks to find that line a bit more. And if you can see this like visible line, you want to contour above it just to keep your face like snatched basically. So I also take some on my forehead because I have a very big forehead, so I just want to create more shadows. So I kind of just like stipple the brush along my forehead, and then I go in with circular motions. So now I'm going to take some blush, and for people with deeper skin tones like me, I like berry tone blushes like this one, and this is the shade Just Fearless in the LA Girl Just Blush and Blushes. So I take this blush brush, I think this is like from Forever 21 or something like that. I just dip it into the product like that, and you can see there's a lot of product on the brush, so I just tap the excess off, and then I smile. And I like to apply the blush almost like right on the corner of the apples of my cheeks, and then bring it out, and the blush will be essentially placed in between the highlight and the contour. Smile, just like stamp it on to my cheeks, and that's it. Oh, I put so much on that side. Oh my, oh, okay, no, let's stop, that's too much. Now the very last thing for base is going to be highlight. So for the sake of this being beginner friendly, I'm not going to use a loose powder highlight, even though that's like my favorite. I'm just going to take this Wet n Wild highlight, and this is in the shade Crown of My Canopy. So for highlight, I usually like using tapered brushes brushes that like, I have too much in my hands, but brushes that like kind of come to a point. So a brush like this, or a brush like this. These are like my favorite brushes to use for highlight. But I'm gonna use this bigger one, and so I'm just going to like brush it all in this product. Tap any excess off, and then I like to smile, and then like on the highest points of my cheeks, that's where I like to place the highlight. So on my basically on the highest points of my entire face. So when I smile, like, and if the sun were to hit wherever it were to highlight my face, that's where I place the highlighter. So on the top of my cheekbones, the bridge of my nose, as well as the very tip of my nose, and then I just do my forehead just to be a bit extra, and also on my upper lip. So with my smile. Okay, now the very last thing for the face is the setting spray. What setting spray does is it just helps keep your makeup in place all day. It kind of minimizes like the shininess throughout the day, and it just keeps you fresh. I think it like brings everything together, especially if you have powder on your face. It kind of minimizes that powdery look, and it gives you more of a dewy look throughout the day. So the two setting sprays that I've been liking so far are the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray and this Wet n Wild Rose 3-in-1 Primer Mist. The only thing that I don't like about these 3-in-1s is that like you can use it to set, prep, and like just refresh throughout the day. So I know this gives you an extremely dewy look, so I'm not going to use this one today because I like more matte looks. So I'm just going to use the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray, and it's just so cool. Ooh, okay. And it looks very wet, but it will dry down. Okay, I'm just going to wait for this to dry, finish the rest of my face, and I will be back. Okay, this is the finished base, foundation base, face base, whatever you want to call it. This is the finished makeup look, and I hope it helped you guys. I hope the series is enjoyable and it's actually helping people who want to get into makeup. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.